Welcome to BGD Makes, a series in which I make a game based on an idea I had in mind for a while, or maybe few fresh ones. I'll be making the first drafts and prototypes of games, keeping few mechanics in the game. The main purpose of these games is to help me try different ideas and to keep the creative flow maintained. I might implement these ideas in other bigger and more complete games later on. So that being said, the first game that I wanted to work is based upon a game that I made last year. Last year I went to Global Game Jam and I went there with a bunch of rookies. And I just wanted to introduce them to the crazy, weird and fun world of game development. The theme of last year's Game Jam was home. So after a brainstorming session, I came up with Termi Home Sabotage, where we control a group of termites. You know those pests which eats furnitures and all those kind of things? So we had to get in different houses and consume the furniture and move on. The houses were randomly generated and each time there was a different setting giving some variation in the gameplay. There were few enemy types which we had to avoid, and if we were caught then the alarm would be raised and the pest control will be on the way. And now we had two choices. We could either get greedy and consume more or exit the house. This gave us a pretty solid risk versus reward system, which made the game a lot more fun. We were quite satisfied with the game because for most of my teammates, this was their first game. So after revisiting it, I realized that there were a lot of things that I can do differently now and maybe add some new cool features. So I decided to remake it. So the first thing I worked on is random house generation. I implemented Spelunky style generation, and Blackthorn Prod has an amazing tutorial on how to implement Spelunky style random generation, and I suggest you to watch it to know more about how this works. With few lines of code, we were ready with a random level generator. As you can see, it's a grid-based system and there's a random starting point. The algorithm just navigates itself to the bottom and hence creating an open path, then filling with extras. The whole system is based on positions that are predefined. The rooms are populated using spawn points. The yellow dots we see here represents the spawn points. The first room position is on random and the prefab is instantiated. Each room has various spawn points to populate the room. Now to differentiate the closed rooms, I added a simple ground and made it red color. Now if you run the scene, we can see how the generator works. The fixed path is made and then the closed rooms are added. Each time we get a different variation. Pretty cool, right? But as you can see here, the starting positions are fixed and they are based on the predefined positions. This is great if you want to have a more controlled system, but I wanted more variations. So I coded few extra lines, and just like that, now the starting position is totally random based on the grid size. Awesome. Okay, so we got a one room house. I mean, people do make random houses, man. We are not the one to judge. But so far so good. Now we have many more variations in the size of the houses. Now I can also change the size of the grid. So basically the generator has more space to work with and we can have larger rooms and much more variations now. So if you want a grid of 6x6, it's just changing few numbers here and there, and now we have a much larger grid. And yes, the filling needs to be fixed, but here after removing the fixed border, you can see that the grid is indeed of 6x6 and we have a much bigger path now. Now the reason the filling is not working properly is because here we can see a script was attached to the fixed positions and it checked if there's a room present there. If not, then instantiate a closed room. So I'll have to go to the level generator code to make sure that the filling is more dynamic. And after adding few lines of code, the level was now filled dynamically. Well, at least it was supposed to. I'll have to look into the code again to see why it's not working. But honestly, that's the fun part of making games. Trying to figure out how to do something, failing at it, and the aha moment when you're finally able to do it. This is why I make games, and honestly suggest you guys to start your game development journey so that you guys can experience the crazy thrill of making games. So with adding few more lines and commenting others, I was able to fill the room dynamically. The bigger grid size gave me an idea. Instead of filling the whole grid, what if I only drew a border across the path, removing many unnecessary rooms? So I coded a few more lines and commented few more, and now we had this. Honestly, this is looking much better now, and I think I'll go ahead with this. So never be afraid to try out different things when making games, because you never know what really works if you don't really try different approaches. The next thing I worked on was prayer character. Now I could have implemented it like I did previously with a simple follow the cursor code, but I wanted to improve it, so I decided to implement the flock behavior. The first thing I did was generate multiple units, each having its own collider and rigid body. Then I implemented the flock behavior. In flocking, there are 3 rules. When there's a group, move towards the average group position, align the heading to average heading, and to avoid hitting another unit, which is handled using the colliders easily. In other terms, move together, move towards the same direction, and don't collide with each other. After coding it in, now we have a beautiful flock moment. All the units are now seeking the goal, in this case, the unit manager. We could increase the number of units, and it's still smooth. You can see that there's a bit of drag and a bit of seesaw moment here. I'll have to fine tune it to remove the drag, but still better than the old one, right? I then bumped up the number of units to see how it looks, and it looks pretty sweet. The next thing I did was add some color to each unit. And now it's looking like a hive mind, like some creature from outer space wanted to consume everything in its way, and that gave me a pretty amazing idea. Alright, so hear me out. What if instead of termites we control this interterrestrial species based on termites, who came to Earth looking for food? It consumes everything in its way, and starting from dead organic matter, once it's powerful enough, it'll start consuming living organic matter and slowly take over the world. Yeah, that's it. I got the story for the game. So with the new direction in mind, I added some particle effects and a trail renderer to all units to make them look like some weird hive-like creature. Then I made few tweaks to the color and wrote the script such that the flock now follows the mouse. I implemented it in the game, and now we control what looks like rotten blood which just got life. Perfect. This is exactly what I wanted. And then I added a trail to the crosshair to get more visual feedback, and it looks cool too. This crosshair is what the termites follow. Using the mouse we control the crosshair, and when we press the mouse the crosshair's position is changed. Doing it in this way made the crosshair kind of a leader that is not always moving with the mouse, giving us more control over the termites and allowing tighter movements. And then I wanted to add a dash, because dashing is cool, and I'm pretty sure interterrestrial termites should be able to dash. So when we hit a button, there's a force applied to all units, and we should be able to dash. But you can see that instead of dashing, they are going supersonic here.
I'll have to reduce the dash first, and I ended up reducing it too much. But again, that's the fun, sometimes frustrating, but usually fun part of making games. You have to get your hands dirty, start making games to see what works and what not. Because this will help you find the style, and the best way to learn something is to practice. With few adjustments and trial and error, I was able to find the sweet spot, at least for now. And this is what the game looks like now at the moment. I'll keep working on it and posting about it. It should be ready in the next 2 videos or so, because this is just a short prototype game where I'm just trying different mechanics. I don't really want to spend a lot of time on it and move on to the next project soon. In the next video, maybe I'll work on some art, add in some consumables for the termites to eat and grow strong, and I don't know, maybe add some enemies and all. I would love to hear your feedback, because feedback is always a big yes in game development. And if you guys have any doubts regarding any part of the video, then please do comment below. I'll try my best to help you out. I hope you guys are motivated to make your own games, and I would love to hear about it. Think creative, take care, bye bye.